Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This is second part of SRE mock interview series. So there's already one video where I've done a mock interview. So before we begin, I just want to share a quick note. This mock interview is being shared for learning purposes only. The candidate is one of our newest members on YouTube and is at the very beginning of her DevOps journey. The goal here is not to judge, but to understand her current levels so that we can build a clear roadmap for improvement. Every experienced engineer was once a beginner, so I appreciate her courage to participate and share this publicly. Please keep your feedback respectful and constructive. Now, let's start the mock interview. Thank you. Thank you for coming on to the interview. So, can you just walk me through your resume once?
Yes. Um, my roles and responsibilities in my previous organization was maintaining the scalability, reliability, and the high availability of the application that is deployed in Amazon EKS. And I mainly handle Java Spring Boot and Spring MVC based applications that is deployed through Jenkins CI/CD pipeline, and I also troubleshoot production related issues and build failures, including stages of Docker build stage, SM like the scanning stages, deployment stages. Git checkout stages, etc. And if I come to observability side, I do monitoring in the CloudWatch, Grafana, Prometheus tools for monitoring, and I worked with the Terraform for automating the AWS infrastructure provisioning. And I also did work on FinOps project where I handled worked with a tool called Cloud Zero for AWS cloud cost optimization. Yeah, this is what I did in my previous
Okay.
organization.
So you were working as an SRE or you were a DevOps engineer?
I work as an cloud operations engineer.
Okay, so right now you're not working?
Yeah, and, I'm now not working. So,
Okay, okay, okay. Can you talk about some like architecture of the applications that you worked with? Like what kind of infra you had? So if you can talk about that.
okay. Actually, if the architecture workflow which we follow is developers will push the if there is any new updates in the future, so they will like push the code into Git repositories after like pull request and code reviews and all. We have automated webhooks, so the Jenkins pipeline will be automatically and triggered. Build actions happens. The infrastructure that we have in AWS is we have a availability zone infrastructure where VPCs will be through we will receive the user traffic through a service called uh, Route 53. From there, the request goes to a load balancer. The load balancer routes the traffic to the application front end, kept in a public subnets, and private in private subnets we have database and backend applications through internet gateway, route table, and NAT gateways. The traffic flow happens. And in RDS, we have enabled multi-AZ uh, route, multi-AZ, and for disaster recovery. And in Route 53, we have like health check based routing also we have enabled. This is the architectural flow we follow.
You mentioned about you support Java Spring Boot applications, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of the changes that are done on these applications, so what's your role in it? For example, I know that the developers are going to like make some code changes. They are working on some task that is assigned to them, so they are making their code changes. But what kind of changes you make in those repositories, in those application repositories which are for Java applications?
Uh, we work with the deployment .yaml file and service .yaml file for configuring the artifacts that we need,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
then yeah, this is what we do.
Okay. Okay. No problem. Can you talk about GitOps? Like, what is GitOps and why one organization should choose GitOps in today's world for deployment?
Mm, mm, Actually, we will be storing all the source codes in GitHub because it has like a versioning, so there will be easy for us to auditing and maintaining the commit histories. Uh, and if it also gives us a rollback capabilities. If something goes wrong in the deployments, we can roll back the changes that we did. Um, Yeah,
Okay.
GitOps is helpful for this.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. So suppose you have a pipeline, a CI/CD pipeline. It has 7 stages,
Okay.
and it has failed on step number 5.
Okay.
So suppose in step number 1 to 4, like some resources were created. So
Yes.
what will happen to those resources if the pipeline fails at step 5?
Actually, if the resources created from 1 to 4 stages will remain as it is if we don't roll back them explicitly, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
we have to like look on that stage, fifth stage, why the deployment
Mm-hmm.
has the build has failed, and work on the issues. If it is the reasons can be any. If it is fifth stage, almost some scanning source code checkout would have happened. The scanning of the code would have happened, uh, and if any configuration change we have to check whether any configuration changes in the source code that caused the deployment to fail, or any CPU agents resources has like exceeded or not. These things we have to check, and
Mm-hmm. So can you talk about the first step that you're going to take to troubleshoot this issue, where the CI/CD pipeline has failed on step number 5? So, like, what is the first thing that you're going to do to start investigating the issue? It can be
I
any
will
pipeline. It can be Jenkins pipeline. It can be a GitHub Actions pipeline. It can be
uh,
a GitLab pipeline. It can be anywhere. But like, what's the first thing that we're going to do to troubleshoot the issue, to start investigating on the issue?
first thing I will check the console output,
Mhm. You're talking
where
about
the
Jenkins. Okay, you're talking about
Jenkins,
Jenkins.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Mm-hmm.
The console output I will check
Mm-hmm.
on which stage it has failed. This is what I will check, and if the agents are available for the execution or not,
Mm-hmm.
are the first thing I will check on the Jenkins pipeline.
Okay, okay. All right. So you said you have also worked with EKS, right? All your applications are in EKS. You said in the introduction, right?
Yes,
Okay. Have you ever seen an application pod go into crash loop back off error?
yes, yes.
Can you talk about like, I mean, why the pod goes into that mode and like what does it mean in general? Like what does it?
If an
Yeah.
Yeah, if an pod is in crash loop of that, it means it's getting restarted repeatedly. The
Mm-hmm.
pods are getting restarted repeatedly, and the interval between the restart is also keep on increasing when there is multiple restarts. And
Okay.
first, I will check the pod status. That will show that there is it's running pending or crash loop off. We have if we identify it's in a crash loop off, then we have to check using the commands using kubectl get uh, describe pods. So there we will know the reason exactly why the pod has crashed, and we also can check the logs. Any traffic increase has happened, or CPU or memory utilization increase happened. That or any recent deployments has happened that caused the crash loop back off. Or any bugs, application bugs has there. Yeah, all these could be the reason for the crash loop of crash loop back off. After identifying the issues, we can work on it accordingly.
Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. Now I'll give you one troubleshooting scenario. Okay. So there's an application, and the application team owner, or you can say the application team lead, has reached out to your team saying that the application ha- has an increased API latency. Okay, so suppose they have some dashboards in Grafana which they are seeing, which they are monitoring, where they are seeing there is some increased API latency in their application. So I mean, how would you investigate this type of issue?
API latency.
Mm.
Um, first, there first I will check the CloudWatch matrices. Uh, for the reason for API latency and how much latency, the amount of latency, the time period we will be like checking. Then I will check upon the
What can you do in terms
API
of observability? For example, like you have some observability tools, okay, like you have Grafana
Grafana and
dashboard,
yeah, Prometheus.
and you have other tools as well. So, like, how would you use those tools to uh, like track this latency and troubleshoot it? Any idea about that?
No,
Okay, no problem. Okay, can you just talk about in general, like the common observability stack that we have, like what all things are there, or like what all tools we can use, and how it's going to help us troubleshoot a particular issue? Can you talk about that part? Or maybe like you can talk about the mounting solution that you are using I mean, that you were using in your last company.
accounting solution.
I mean, what kind of monitoring
What
like you used to do in your last company? Like, and how would you like monitor the applications? What all you do, or like what all tools you use, and in what configuration?
Mainly, we use a CloudWatch to monitor the application health, like a CPU memory, response times, latency, uh, etc. So we also configured it with the Grafana and the Prometheus. In Grafana, using we create the dashboards and using
Mhm.
the data sources to check. It gives a with CloudWatch. Yeah, we do monitor these metrics. Still, we use Grafana for the better observability. Um, and we can correlate it with the previous we will have multiple data to correlate and come to a conclusion like why there is an increase in the issue.
Okay, so let's talk about CloudWatch only for now. Okay, so in CloudWatch, suppose you have to deploy one monitoring solution. Suppose you have a EKS cluster,
Mm.
and in EKS cluster you have a node group, right? And
Okay.
that node group has an auto scaling group.
Yeah.
Okay, so now suppose you have to use CloudWatch to deploy a monitoring solution for this auto scaling group. which is your EKS node group. It
Okay.
has multiple worker nodes.
Okay.
So, like, what can you do in AWS?
Okay, if we talk about auto scaling group, we have the auto scaling group means it increases or decreases the number of resources based on the threshold we have given. We have to give the threshold metrics. Actually, if we are choosing auto scaling group, we either can better to choose CPU or the traffic flow as a threshold. If I take the example of a CPU, if I take 80%, we have to define the minimum number of instances or nodes that we required, and maximum numbers we can define. If Based on this, the auto scaling monitoring happens.
Okay, that's it. You don't use any other feature in your auto scaling group or any other things in AWS to configure this monitoring solution.
And SNS topics, when we can configure SNS topics to get alerts notified if the auto scaling group doesn't work the way we required.
Okay, but like where will you configure it? In the auto scaling groups?
Mhm. It's in alarms. You
Hmm.
can configure, create a topic.
So, like, can you just like talk about the steps on a very high level? Like what will you do? Step one, step two, step three, like that. Like, how would you start configuring this mounting solution for this EC2 or auto scaling group? Like, what all you can do? AWS step by step, if you can just like talk about it.
Uh, I
Okay.
like,
Okay. No problem. No problem. All right. I think you said you're from cloud operations engineer. I mean, you were
yeah,
from. I mean, you were working as a cloud operations engineer, right?
yes,
I mean, have you heard about SLIs and SLOs ever
yeah,
in your role? Okay.
yeah.
So, like, can you just like talk about like what are SLIs, SLOs, and SLAs on a high level? If you can talk
Uh,
about it.
SLI is a service level indicator. It is the metrics which we used to monitor the application user performance. Basically, in our organization, we take user experience as an SLI metrics. Like we take the high availability, latency, error rate as an SLI metrics. Based on these SLI metrics, we can create an service level objectives. And a service level agreement is an agreement between the customer that we will be maintaining the available. For example, we will be maintaining like 99.9% high availability of the application.
Okay. Can you talk about any like biggest, you can say, I mean, not any, but can you talk about the biggest production outage that you have ever handled when you were working?
Uh, Yes, there was an incident in which the users were not able to create events. That was predefined templates were there. The user were trying to create events. The templates had tasks and the customer variables. When we actually they were getting API latency for
Hmm.
90 seconds. But when we checked, the customers were facing event creation failures. But when we checked, that are in databases, the events were getting created. Uh, but it got the user were getting the failure error because of the 90 seconds API latency issue.
Hmm.
When we dig deeper, the database indexing were not configured. It was running in a full query for the database. When the events increased, the database like query time also increased. So that caused the delay. And we checked with the database team, and the indexing was done. And the customer were able to clear the events after this issue resolved.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you said you've also worked on some FinOps project, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you just like talk about like what will you do as a FinOps? I mean, in the FinOps project, like what were your roles and responsibilities, and how are you able to support the company there?
Okay. We used Cloud Zero as an FinOps tool to monitor the cost spendings of an AWS resources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in AWS we have cost Explorer, but here in Cloud Zero it gives an uh, uh, cost brief for details about the cost spent based on the resources, the based on the owners, everything, and it gives also the suggestions why the cost spending has happened, how can we optimize it, etc. So first, what we did is all the AWS accounts were tagged configured into the Cloud Zeros. Uh, uh, then tagging of all the accounts were happened. We did the tagging based on the owners, services, and the environment base on the basis of environments.
Mm-hmm.
After this, we were mainly able to find out that there were like cost spendings happened on an RDS, so that there are not only our production environment had RDS multi-AZ enabled, but our development and staging environment was also had a RDS enabled, multi-AZ enabled. Actually, it wasn't not necessary for staging and development environment. This is what
Mm-hmm.
we found out, and we were able to uh, configure them to an single RDS. And then some RDS instances had around 500 gigabytes of storages, which were not actually needed. They were using around 10 to 20 of the gigabytes of data only. And there were EBS volumes that were not deleted. Some EBS volumes were also like kept for longer time. That was also we were able to find through Cloud Zero.
Okay. But like what kind of dashboards do you have? What all you see on the Cloud Zero dashboards that you're talking about?
We were able to see the cost spendings based on the resources, which resources, how much it used, how and what date the resource spending has increased, how for how much traffic uh, resource the cost consumptions has increased. All those we were able to check.
Okay. All right. Have you ever worked with Terraform?
Yes.
Okay. So can you talk about um, suppose you have some resources. Okay. Those resources have to be imported to your existing state file. Okay.
Okay.
So like how can you do that in Terraform?
Importing of
Existing
mm,
resources. For so example, you have some existing resources
yeah, yeah,
and
I understand.
yeah.
Mm, First, we have to create the main.tf file as same as what we have in infrastructure in AWS console. What
Hmm.
we have, same thing have to be uh, uh, created as a main.tf file. Then when we plan give Terraform plan, it will tell what actually Terraform will not be knowing, since there is no state file for that infrastructure, pre-existing infrastructure. So when we give a Terraform plan, it will give the differences between the existing file. Only those previous configurations, we can uh, take it and import it.
Okay. Which command would you use?
Terraform import.
Okay,
Um,
Terraform import command. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Have you ever heard about a Terraform's dynamic block?
Yeah, it is done for state locking. So only one user at a time can execute that, like perform Terraform apply.
No, I'm not talking about Terraform state locking.
DynamoDB. Okay, you are sorry.
I'm talking
What you
about
asked?
I'm talking about Terraform's dynamic block that you have.
Dynamic block. No, sorry.
Okay,
Dynamic block.
okay, no
No
idea.
idea. Mm.
Okay, okay, no problem. Now, can you just talk about the three pillars of observability in general, like what all we actually care for as part of observability stack? What
Security.
type of data? Yeah, what type of data we are actually looking for as an SRE for our applications? Okay, okay, no worries, no problem. Okay, one last question I want to ask you.
Okay.
So this question is for SRE, Site Reliability Engineer. Okay,
Okay.
suppose you are hired, you have been selected,
Okay.
and now what is the first thing that you're going to evaluate in the first 30 days of your job if you join us as an SRE?
Okay, first I will check the infrastructure, that is the team already the existing infrastructure, how the
Mm-hmm,
workflow happens.
mm-hmm,
Then the configuration, the Terraform automation configurations, and the CI/CD pipeline that is that we use for the build purpose. Then
mm-hmm.
these things I will check.
Okay,
The observability tools which we use, how it works, what are and all the metrics are that the organization is monitoring regularly. Those things I will check.
okay. All right, I'm done with the interview. So do you have any questions for me?
Mm. No,
All right, thank you. Thank you for being part of this interview. Thanks.
thank you.
And before I go, I would like to talk about my YouTube membership program where I have a lot of premium videos available. As you can see right now, I'm talking about a production Docker file. So this is a sample Docker file from a production environment, which I'm covering here, and I'm explaining each and every instruction that is there in this Docker file. Apart from that, I also have videos on some of the most important site reliability engineering terms that are often asked in the interview. How do you explain that? I have video on SRE golden signals, which is very critical when you're actually working and you're configuring some dashboards for a particular application. So you would need SRE golden signals. And then I have a hands-on project on SLI, SLO, SLA. So I start with the theory, like how do you explain these terms and how do you explain an end-to-end project that you've done on SLI, SLO, SLA. So that I've covered here. Here you can see I'm using a Java Spring Boot application, which is being monitored using Prometheus and Grafana tools. And the application is deployed into AWS EKS clusters. Apart from that, I also have video on distributed tracing with Grafana Tempo, and I also have one video on how do you use Open Telemetry for metrics collection for a Java Spring Boot application in Prometheus and Grafana. So it's again, all these videos are hands-on, which means that I'm going to share the document, the end-to-end document that I'm following here, and how do you configure all these things in real. So all that I'm trying to cover here. Apart from that, I also have video on logs aggregation using Grafana Loki tool for Java Spring Boot application. So how do you aggregate logs from multiple applications into Grafana Loki? So that I am covering here. Then in production, we don't use the standard Prometheus to collect our data. We use an enterprise solution which is called Mimir. So the difference between Prometheus and Mimir I've covered in this video. I also have a shell scripting crash course with production scenarios where I'm going to talk about the type of questions that are asked in the interview. Apart from that, all the fundamentals of shell scripting that you should learn for the interview. Then I have other videos as well. As I mentioned, I have multiple videos on Prometheus and Grafana based Java Spring Boot application monitoring in production, how it is done. So these are the videos. Apart from that, I also have Terraform, I have Kubernetes, and I have AWS, Linux. and you can see some of the videos in my YouTube membership program are actually recordings from my real live batches that I've run for SI trainings. A lot of people have got the job as well. So I have these recordings as it is, and in each of these videos I'm talking about how it's going to look like when you're actually working in real as an SRE. So I'm talking about all that. Yeah, so these are the things that I have on my channel, so you can take a look at it. If you find it useful, you can go for the membership as well. It's going to immensely help you in your interviews. All right, so that's all I wanted to cover in this video. I hope this video was useful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. Please share this with others. Please do subscribe to my channel and keep watching my channel. All right, guys, that's all for this one, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye for now.